Like, what the hell am I gonna do? I am so broke. It's insane. Here is the real truth about running your own business in New York City. Let's get into it. If you don't already know me, my name is Callie. I own a dance studio in Brooklyn, and today I just really wanted to talk about my journey of opening up my own business, running my own business for now a year and a half, and all the little things that have happened during this past year and a half. So I wanted to start with my journey to opening Free Minds. Really how I just went all into the process. I have always struggled with keeping a job in the city. I always hated someone telling me what to do. I guess you could say, struggled with authority. And I was a little defiant. In college, I went to school for arts and entertainment management. So I have my business administration degree from Pace University. And I took an entrepreneur class during that where we had to create our own business, and we had to create this whole 30-page proposal and all that. And I remember thinking in that class, wow, I never want to own my own business. I never want to be an entrepreneur. This is just not for me. Well, 8 years later, and here we are. So the idea came about one day when I went to go watch a friend perform at 54 Below, and I went for drinks with them and the whole cast of the show at 54 Below, and somehow we were just talking, and they were like, "Oh, Callie, you'd be a really good business owner," and I was like, "What?" No, what are you talking about? I was like, well, I don't know, what could I do? What could I do? I was like, I love all things creative arts. I grew up in the theater. And so I was like, maybe I could just create a physical space where people could truly express themselves. In New York City, I've always had a love for dance, just being in musical theater my whole life, but I never felt like I was worthy of taking up any space in these classes because I hadn't been training my whole life, or I'm not an aspiring dancer in the professional field in New York City. And in New York City, it's very competitive here. It is very I'm gonna be on Broadway, bitch, bye. And I hated that energy, and that's why I actually moved to New York City to pursue musical theater. I quickly saw I don't want to go to auditions every single week. I don't want to be consistently proving myself to these people. And I actually did want to get into casting because I always felt like I had a great way of bringing out people's true potential, and I had a great way of making people feel comfortable once they walked into that room. My first internship in New York City was at a casting agency, and I loved it. And a lot of people in that audition would tell me thank you so much for the prep pre-audition, because I would be the person prepping them for the audition. They were like, you made me feel so comfortable in that room. A lot of these people had never acted before because we were doing a street scouting. We were street scouting to cast for this role because we really wanted this film to be authentic. It was about trans lives and the Vogue scene and the ballroom scene and all that, and we just wanted everything to be authentic. But anyways, that's the background of that. So I always knew I wanted to bring out people's potential. So I was like, let me create a space, a physical space where people can come and it can be their home away from home. New York City can be very, very, very lonely. And I experienced a lot of that loneliness throughout the years. And I never had a space where I could truly call home outside of my apartment. And I was like, damn, I want that. I want community. And I also want to better myself in the creative field, not necessarily to become the next Broadway star, but just for myself, because that's important. And it's important to take up space in an area where you're not essentially, aiming for this huge goal. It could just be personal. So anyways, that's the backstory of that. And I wanted to create a space that felt different, that felt welcoming, that felt okay, just because I'm not pursuing, professional dance or Broadway as a career, I'm still worthy of taking up space in a dance class in New York City. I quickly realized there was not a space for this in the city. And while the intention wasn't to have dance completely kick off with that, I was like, holy shit, people really need this. And so the dance classes were becoming to get more packed and packed and packed. And I started off with people that I already knew in the industry to come work for me. I wasn't instructing at the studio as a dance teacher. I called on my friends from college that had dance backgrounds. I was like, hey, would you wanna start teaching? And they did, and it just quickly and I'm super grateful for that. My journey to getting a space, because obviously this is a brick and mortar business, meaning this is a physical space. So it's not selling online classes or anything like that. No, we are having people physically come to a space. So that was a thing that I had to learn how to do. Obviously, I've lived in many different apartments in New York City, but I've never looked for a commercial space. That's very different. So you have to first set up your LLC, get your individual tax number. So it's like a social security number, but for your business. And there's just like all these steps you have to do to getting verified as a business and just being like, okay, I'm an official business. I actually started looking on Craigslist. Yeah, girl, Craigslist. I was going through a broker. I had never even met this broker. The girl that showed me the space was like a friend, like helping out. And I was like, this is sus, but whatever, it's Brooklyn, I don't know. So we viewed a few spaces, a couple different brokers. I ended up really loving this one space that was cheaper than everything else that I saw. So I was like, okay, let me start a little cheap. Now, mind you, cheap, it's not cheap. It's not cheap because you need a big enough space for mirrors and for dancing and for people, right? It was quite pricey. More than anything I have ever spent in an apartment, that's for damn sure. But at the time, I had a lot of money saved up. I was just spending it, just wherever. So now I was like, well, I have all this money, let me just invest it. So I invested it in my own business. And right up front, you have to put, for a business lease, you have to put 3 months rent plus security. Security is normally the price of a rent. So essentially you're giving up 4 months rent off rip. Now in this specific situation, I also had to pay the broker 1 month's rent. So that's essentially
5 months of rent
that I had to put up front, okay? 5 months. That's a lot of money. For context, this studio's rent was $2,700. You can do the math. Thankfully, I had that money saved up, but you know what? I didn't have much else. So that was kind of an unexpected like wake-up call, like, ooh, shit, this isn't about to be cheap. I was like, you know what? I am here. I am this far in the process. I am just going all in. I didn't even make a backup plan for myself because I didn't even want the option of plan B. I was just like, this will work and I will do everything in my power to make it work. Because I just put every single dime that I own into this business, into this studio. Now, we signed a lease in September. My dad, I'm so grateful for my dad. He has done so much for the business. He also invested in the business as well. So I had some money from him, which was amazing. And then him and his friend actually came up and renovated the whole studio for me. So you can imagine that this studio was not that nice given the price of it. And yes, $2,700 does sound very expensive, but in New York City, you're getting kind of a dump for a commercial building, okay? So I had to completely renovate it. I put all the extra money I had that I didn't put towards the security deposit and 1st month's rent and broker fee and all that. I put all that into buying mirrors and painting and adding lights and just making the studio feel good and homey and beautiful and authentic to me. That was a scary thing, to completely invest every single dime that I own into something that I have never done before, that I have no idea if it's gonna be successful. That was really scary. So you have to trust yourself and be very confident that you are willing to work to get your money back and then some. Obviously, with all that, there is a lot of unexpected struggles of running a business. I knew I was gonna have to deal with some struggles, but I didn't know exactly the struggles, and then you quickly find out. Imagine, we just put all this money into this lease. I spent a whole month getting it ready, painting, all that. Dad comes up, whatever. Then all of a sudden, you're getting kicked out. After 6 months, I put everything I owned into this. I'm building up clientele. This is a new business, right? It is important for consistency in a new business. However, we didn't have that because we were getting kicked out. So essentially what happened is I made it very clear to the landlords, we will be loud. We are dancing. We have JBL speakers. Like, we are going to be loud. Yeah. It's fine. Well, it was not fine. I found out that building was not built very nicely and had no concrete barrier in between the 2nd floor and the 1st floor. So anytime I would even walk, the 1st floor could hear me. And they were an event space that hosted dinners and meditations and shit like that. Well, I'm being harassed by them. And mind you, I'm like, well, shit, I'm just trying to run my business the way that I said I was gonna run my business in the beginning. I can't pivot or I can't adjust to all of this. was like 4 months of getting harassed by the people downstairs. And mind you, she was a bitch, but she was protecting her business. And I get it. She ended up suing the landlords, including me, in this legal shit. I'm like, bitch, what the fuck? I'm just trying to run my business. I don't get served, but I get sent it in the mail. And like, it was an unprofessional letter as well. There were typos. They didn't even spell my name right. I was like, who the f is your lawyer? So I went to the landlords. They were so sweet to me. They loved me. I literally said, listen, just buy me out the lease. I'm gonna find a new place. This is a headache. I'm trying to run my business. I am trying to grow. I can't do this here. And they wanted me to spend like $20,000 to soundproof this space that I'm not even sure if I'm gonna spend the next even 5 years in it. So I was like, fuck that. I'm not spending all that money to invest in your space. Hell no. So I said, buy me out my lease, I'm out. I started meeting with a new broker who found me our current studio, and we viewed so many spaces. And of course I went with the most expensive one because I'm psycho. But I was like, it's beautiful. I have these 2 big windows over here. I can see the skyline of Manhattan. I'm like, this is so pretty. The building's nice. It just felt right. I was like, you know what? This rent is so much more expensive than what I was paying, but I am going to make it work because that is just how my mind works. I am all in. I was the brokest I have ever been in my life. I was making negative dollars. And mind you, I had no savings anymore because I just invested it all into the business. The buyout of the lease, all that money just went into my new lease. So there was no crossover, and looking back now, I should have asked for more because they accepted it right away. I was like, oh shit. They didn't even try to negotiate. They knew, they got me. I was so stressed out in this point of my time. I hated not having money. I hated being reliant on people. I've always been a very hyper independent person. I probably need therapy, but it was just weighing on me so heavy. I could not manage it all. I could not. The second I started making a little bit of money, I moved out because I knew that living space, first of all, I was deep in Jersey and I was commuting to Brooklyn. It was weighing on me. I was exhausted. So my friend was like, I have a room opening up in my apartment. I'm a walk away from your studio. I said, hell yeah. Even though my rent was double, I literally was like, I'm going to figure it out. This is just what I do. I just figure it out. I just go all in and then figure it out. I lived off of bare minimum and credit card debt. I'm just gonna say it. I still have credit card debt that I'm trying to pay off. I lived off of my credit cards. I even had to get a new credit card and transfer all my debt onto that one so that it was interest free, because this interest was like $100+ every single freaking time. And I was like, I was just like losing my mind. It was hard. There were definitely moments that I questioned, am I even gonna make it another month? Like, what the hell am I gonna do? I am so broke. It's insane. So that was definitely one of the unexpected struggles of running a business. You're doing something wrong if you don't, no. The saying is you're doing something right if you have haters. You're doing something wrong if you don't have haters. So once we got to a point where there was some success, yes, I started to experience some haters. And managing that is really stressful. You just, not everyone wants to see you win, okay? And especially if you're doing something that they wish that they could. Realization was that you just cannot please everyone, and you just have to keep trucking along and focus on the positive and not get tangled up in the drama. That's just what it is. Another struggle I had was burnout. Burnout is so real, and it is the worst when you're a business owner. It is the worst, because being your own boss, it sounds real cute, and it is real cute. But then you kind of realize you can never clock out. You can never, ever clock out, especially in the beginning stages of the business where you cannot delegate tasks to other people. I'm just getting to that point now, right? I still wear every hat, but now I'm able to delegate some of these tasks, like the front desk receptionist and managing people who can't get into the building. That type of stuff has been helping me so much the past, 2 weeks that we've had a front desk person. But there's other things that I'm not able to delegate yet. I manage all the finances, payroll, scheduling, social media, editing visuals, editing, Instagrams, TikToks, cleaning the studio, deep cleaning the studio, managing onboarding and making sure we're not running out of stuff. And like, I'm also doing that in my personal life too. So it's like ×2. It's a lot. Burnout is definitely real, and you have to find a balance of that and then like setting boundaries for your own self, but it's very hard in the beginning. Imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's a big one. I feeling like I'm not qualified because I didn't grow up dancing. I grew up dancing, but I'm not a technically trained dancer. So I was like, who the hell am I to be running a dance studio in Brooklyn and teaching dance classes in Brooklyn? Like, who do I think I am? However, I do have unique gifts and skills that aren't as common, I have found. So, I was like, who am I to open a studio and run a business? I was 26 when I opened the business. I was 25 when I opened the business. I'm 27 now. Wait. I turned 26.
3 hours later.
I have no idea, actually. This is the brain fog that also comes with being a boss. Okay, I was either 25 or 26 when I opened the business. I don't freaking know. I'm turning 28 this year. That's all I know. I just was like, okay, I'm not even a good enough dancer. Well, when I started the business, I wasn't gonna teach dance. But anyways, what I am good at is cultivating safe spaces for people. And since I do have that musical theater background, we come from a place that it's like, we're gonna work together to achieve something. We all have different roles in this musical. We all need to put in the work and we all need to be a family. And that is what I came from. I'm super grateful for my musical theater training. I also realized that, everyone starts somewhere. And I am a very hands-on learner. I didn't know how to edit. And now people are looking at me like, oh my God, your edits are amazing. I didn't know how to run and teach a dance class, but I have those natural leader skills and I have that energy and I have that confidence, but it wasn't always there. Learning comes from doing. And then the moment I just finally stopped questioning myself and just owned what makes me special, that's when everything came into fruition and that's when everything came to flourish. And it's been really beautiful to see my own growth and learning how to trust myself and also changing so many lives. Everyone's saying, oh my God, you're doing wonders for my confidence. That is what I want. I'm not training you to be the next Broadway star. Most of our studio is beginners. They're people who used to dance and just had a weird relationship with it and want to get back into it. That's what I'm teaching here. I'm teaching how to be confident, how to move your body in a way that feels less awkward and just empowering. That's what it is. It's empowerment. I used to not be the most confident person. I think maybe people thought that I was very confident, but I was so self-conscious. I was constantly thinking, oh my God, what are they thinking of me? Why am I walking weird? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And that's really why I started to step into this, because I was facing my own fears. What keeps me going through these moments of imposter syndrome is really the people who come to the studio. Like truly, they send me the nicest messages. I just posted something on my Instagram today of this girl from out of town that came, and she was just so thankful for the opportunity to discover my studio and just, kept thanking me for it. And it's just people like that reach out and they're like, your studio changed my life. Like I'm seeing how many lives are being changed and it really does keep me going. And those moments of burnout and those moments of imposter syndrome are quickly vanished by our clients and the friends I've met along the way and just the people that are making this possible. It's very powerful and I don't take it lightly, and it does mean the world to me when these people are saying these things. Just seeing also them build confidence. I've seen people completely transform from being so awkward in the beginning to now coming into class and owning the space and owning the dances. And I'm like, bitch, who are you? Like, slay, queen. Like, that is what it's all about. Seeing people completely transform, coming in, being shy, not knowing how to move their bodies, to now coming in with this unsaid confidence and being able to move the body, and then letting other people know, the new people, hey, I was once there. Like, just keep coming back, just keep showing up, and you're gonna get so much better. And that really is what keeps me going, honestly. There is such a demand for a space like FreeMind, and I think that it's easily franchisable. 5-10 year plan to have in other cities that don't have these opportunities. There aren't spaces like this for adults to enjoy hobbies outside of work that are healthy and that can tap into building confidence. Truly. Last thing I wanted to talk about is kind of what I wish I wanted to know, what I wish I knew before starting this business. People think that owning a business means like doing what you love all day, but there are so many things behind the scenes that you have to constantly be doing to maintain the business, and they're not pretty, they're not cute. There's a lot of non-dance work that you have to do that you need to be proficient. You need to be proficient in email writing, in editing, in, managing and all that stuff. And not to say you can't learn that along the way, but I think having some of those skills already built up is very important, and being keen to detail and making sure there's not typos in your website and in your editing and things like that. It really does make a difference when people are looking at your stuff and the professionalism of it and how seriously you take yourself. Another thing is like community and branding mean more than you think. And I quickly realized this, like, people don't just book dance classes. They're coming to Free Mind for the vibe and the experience that we offer. And the instructors here that have the booked out classes, they are offering something different. So I tell everybody that's trying to work at my studio, I said, listen, we are not just teaching your choreo. You are providing an experience for these people and you are not above them. You are not gonna come in here head held high, not getting to know a single client's name. We are not that studio. We're fun, we're friendly, and we want to take the stress and the fear out of this. It's a scary thing to show up to a dance studio having never danced before or having a bad relationship with dance in the past. So things like that are very important. Another thing is that people will copy you. If you are doing something good, people will copy you and you just have to own it. That is just what it is. Not everyone is going to respect what you've built, even if they say they do, right? People will try to recreate it. People will look and say, wow, I want that. Let me go and do it. And listen, that's happened, okay? But you have to keep innovating so that no one can replicate what you have, and realizing that you offer something special and you've built your brand up to this point for a reason. You just have to focus on your own growth, stay away from competition, to be honest. Success takes time. I was very I was delusional and thinking that this shit would pop off right away. No. I used to get frustrated when I would have to cancel classes, and sometimes I still do have to cancel classes, but it's becoming less and less and less and less. And building a community takes time, okay? That's okay because it's organic. You don't want to be something you're not and grow from that, right? I would much rather everything take time, but everything is so pure and organic to me and to the mission, vision, values of the business. Patience and consistency are definitely key to building something sustainable. Sustainability is what you want. Another hard thing that I dealt with is finding the balance between boss and friend. Most of the people working for me are my age. Most of the people are in a similar position as me. Most of the people have personalities that I would want to be friends with. But you have to find that balance between being a boss and being a friend. And also to clients as well. Most of these clients have ended up becoming my good friends. There still needs to be that respect between, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I do run this business. I do call the shots. I have put everything that I have into this business. And to keep it running, you as a client or you as an instructor need to respect the boundaries and the process, because if I let everybody come in and have a free class, well, I'd have no business anymore. You know, I try to give where I can. I understand I'm human, but however, I'm also a human running this very expensive business that I am trying to keep alive because I'm seeing how many people it is changing. So finding that balance and setting those boundaries is much harder than you would think or you would imagine. In conclusion though, everything is worth it. I have learned so much about myself. I have learned how to trust my intuition more. I have learned to trust my decisions more. I have grown immensely as a dancer, as social media manager, of all these things. I built up these skills because I had to, but these are skills that will take me wherever I need them to go and continue to grow. And to do is to learn, and consistency, showing up for yourself goes a really, really long way. So if you're thinking about starting your own business, or if you've ever been interested in the process of having a business like mine, welcome. I've lived a lot of lives. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this content, please like this video, subscribe, comment. Mwah. Until next time.